Oh hey, more of these. There's that rod again. And then, what is this? I'm trying to figure out what this is exactly. Because this... I can't tell exactly what this picture has in it. Is there a better angle that I can look at? It looks like maybe some kind of instrument, or just an orb, or maybe a shield? It's really hard to tell. I can't... I mean, there's a lantern type of thing, or that's just a lamp. I give up. I don't know what that is. Scales! We needed a dramatic camera angle for that. And for this. Well, maybe for that, but not the first one. Actually, we didn't really need a camera angle for either of those. This game, I don't think it was really designed around speedrunning. Maybe it was, but not to the same extent that something like Super Metroid is. I've been seeing a lot of Super Metroid stuff recently. It's just been the topic of the flavor of the month. Darn it, Link! Talking about speedrunning, you're terrible at it, apparently. Yeah, this is a weird dungeon. It's just kind of like this Indiana Jones Temple of Doom sort of thing. Not a Temple of Time, a Temple of Doom. At the same time that it's really, like, clean. It's a super clean dungeon. Just talking in terms of, like, as clean as a dungeon can be. It's all bright and pretty, and there's gold, and... like, this would be a nice place to live. What a nice place to sleep. Alright, come here, little guy. Come here, little Viking. Viking Rock. Fraggle Rock. I've been designing a snow area for my game, and this probably would have been more appropriate to talk about with Snow Peak. But Snow Peak has been kind of an inspiration in trying to come up with ideas for the snow area in my game. And I've thought about, like, it's been hard for me, and maybe one of the reasons that it's hard for me is because I don't actually like snow areas in games. But I think that I do. I just... It's difficult to look at snow and think of anything besides, oh, it's plain white, it's related to Christmas, and that's about it. Like, what more can you do with snow besides Christmas? And, like, snowmen and stuff. It just seems like a boring concept. Kind of like the desert is a boring concept. It's just a bunch of sand. Like, what's so exciting about a bunch of sand? But then video games make them interesting. And I realized that possibly one of my favorite Christmas-type stories that isn't exactly Christmas is that one episode of Fraggle Rock, which I haven't seen in a very long time, but it's the one called, I think it's just The Bells of Fraggle Rock. Or something to that effect. And it's the really creepy episode where, like, the Fraggles have this ceremony that keeps the rock moving, or else it will freeze forever. And then Gobo is like, well, I don't believe in the bells, the bell celebration. I'm gonna go look for the bell and see if it's real. And all this stuff, and then the celebration is delayed, and then everyone freezes. Everyone actually freezes into ice. And it's like, oh my gosh, they're dead. And it's weird and eerie, and then it turns out that they ring the bells, and it's because the bell isn't in the center of the rock, it's at the heart of the rock. And the heart of the rock is the hearts of the people. And it's this special thing that would be much better explained by watching it as opposed to me saying it. I only saw a plot synopsis of it recently, I didn't actually watch it, but I should. And I skipped right over this chest because I didn't think it could possibly be a key, and then it was. And I just jumped over that. It was so hardcore. So rockin' awesome. Rockin' around the Christmas tree? I think Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree might be my favorite Christmas holiday song.
My favorite is actually Jingle by Rock, I just forgot.
And I can't exactly explain why. I just like the melody of it, maybe the instruments. Nice happy beat. And it's not like the most overplayed thing. It is still overplayed, but it's not the most overplayed. Oh, it's another eerie room. There's been some... We haven't seen these before. I like how it zooms in on that part of the room, despite it not being the part of the room that's menacing. We got ourselves our first Dark Nut. Introduced way earlier in other Zelda games. But it's a cool boss fight. Mini-boss. And definitely, I think, made easier with this back slice. I also think it might be... I played this earlier without the back slice, and I think the trick is basically just to wait for him to attack. I'll try to figure it out here. Yeah, you wait for him to attack and then you start slashing. Okay, do it again so I can show this off. Maybe? Maybe? Do you want to cooperate with me, big guy? Yeah, something like that. If you don't have the back slice, that's probably the best way to go. Except it's a little bit more difficult whenever he does a sideways swipe, then you always get hit with that. So, I don't know what the best way of beating this guy is, if you just... You know, it's kind of like... It's a little bit like the Dark Link fight in Ocarina. Nobody really knows the best way to do it, it's just kind of... an acquired taste, except it's not a taste. I think this phase is probably easier if you don't have Z targeting. And you can just kind of wail on him. And if we go through the Cave of Ordeals later, we're going to see a lot more of him. And his clones, his clone army. Speaking of which, I guess Rogue One is a thing that's happening in the near-ish future. Star Wars Rogue One, which I'm probably not going to watch because it's just, I don't know, extended universe stuff doesn't have the same appeal to me as the main story. And we got the Dominion Rod, whatever this is. It's the thing that we saw in those murals, but those relief sculptures, and we don't know what is it. It looks kind of like the hook shot, but it's not a hook shot. Claw shot is what I meant to say. And then everyone died. But it turns out that this can happen. Just, yeah. Ooh, and we have the big medallion of spirit on the ground. I hadn't noticed that before. That's a cool detail. Yeah, they really went all out with using the medallions for decoration in this game. Maybe the forest medallion was used in the forest temple, and I just didn't even realize it. I wouldn't be that surprised. I know that the Deku symbol of the, what is it? Not the Deku Emerald, but whatever the green emerald in Ocarina is. I know that that was used. This game just has so many little details. And another detail, another detail that I like is this. Let's just get a good composition shot here. We can just beat up Link. It's kind of fantastic. Time to abuse the dog. You know what the best commercial is? It's a cancelled commercial. I don't remember what for, which is why you know it's a good commercial. You know what? I'm going to hold off on that for a moment, because whenever I was playing this dungeon in practice, I was really stupid about this puzzle right here. This is all you have to do. Is just that. But I didn't see the switch there, even though I'd already used it before, and this is what I did. Got him on the other side. I thought, well, I can't get past this laser shield. I guess I'll go... Here's a hook shot. The claw shot. And now I will just get back to where I was by a slash. And I just barely made it. Let's finish this up. That's not the guy I meant to swallow. That wasn't the sentence. Never mind. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, that would have been way easier than what I just did. Best part about this new gigantic Titan transformer friend of ours is it just destroys all of the obstacles in our way. Very much useful. It's kind of what's the word? Not therapeutic, although that would work too. Gosh, what is that word? It's not dogmatic either. But it's the word that Quentin Tarantino uses to describe certain kinds of violence in his movies. There's like the realistic, gritty, bad violence, and then there's the violence that's satisfying, and I forget what that word is. And I even used it in Riddle Transfer 2 specifically, with Diz talking at the end, and I just forgot. Okay. I need one of you little guys here. Come with me. I'm gonna babysit you for the next 3 seconds. Okay, you're on your own now. Just stay right there. Be a good little boy. Or girl. Or statue, since you're just a statue. And I am personifying inanimate objects. Except they're not really inanimate, they're sometimes animate. I've never really heard the word animate being used before. Because everyone says inanimate, and everyone says animated, but never just animate. Because that's spelled animated, or animate. And that's just weird. Alright, I made a total mess of this puzzle the last time I played, and I'm sure it's not difficult. I know that what you're supposed to do is basically just, okay... Well, the thing that I want to do is that eventually, once I'm through with this scale stuff, I want to have the scale all the way up on this side. And it's not hard, but I felt like I made it way longer than it needed to be. But I like this. This dungeon's concept is just cool. Like, you could make an entire game out of just this concept of moving things with a rod. And I guess one of the complaints with this game is that you could take the concepts that are used for a very short time in this game, and, like, you could make them into full games, but Nintendo didn't use them to their full potential. They just kind of used them for a little bit and then stopped. But I don't really feel like that's the most valid complaint, because they did good with them. And I feel like if you go to too much effort to spread out a concept, then maybe it's not as enjoyable anymore. Which also goes against what I've said before about some things. Like, if you have a concept for a dungeon, like a water dungeon, you might as well use water in every way that you can. So, I don't really know where I stand on the issue. Maybe I'm just stupid. I had this video recently talking about how people have said that I'm depressed sounding. Like, I sound depressed, and the comments that I got in response to that, well, a lot of them were just, well, I don't think you sound depressed. That's, you know, and that's encouraging to me, because I don't think that I do. I just think that I don't sound enthusiastic, and that's different from sounding depressed. But then someone said, well, you don't sound depressed. Maybe they're just saying that you sound depressing. Like, that's so much better. Like, oh, yeah, that's... I'm not stuck in a pile of dog feces. I'm stuck in a pile of dog barf. So much better. But the reason that I was on that subject was I was thinking about how one of the comments that I received was, well, maybe part of the reason that you sound like, or that people say you sound depressed is because you put yourself down a lot. And usually that's not exactly what I would consider true. Because I say a lot of things like, oh, I'm stupid, but I don't really mean it. And I know that maybe it's not a good idea to pretend, because then it makes it like some kind of statement that's nailed into your brain. But you know what, I should get this guy all the way to the end before I do anything else in case this room respawns. Because I'm gonna have to go into another room before I'm done. Yeah, usually if I'm saying something negative about myself, it's in jest, or it's like valid criticism, or at least in my opinion, valid criticism. Because I don't like to think of myself as perfect. I like to give myself credit where I think credit is due, but I don't like to say, well, like, I know that I have flaws, and I want to recognize those flaws, and that I know that my work has flaws as well, and I might not always be able to fix those flaws very well, but I can still at least acknowledge them so that maybe it's the possibility that I could. Don't know what's over here. I'm gonna guess that it's rupees, because I'm gonna say red. Yep, red rupee. Good. But it won't fit in my wallet now, so let's put it back. Why can't I just take the chest and that can be my new wallet? Wouldn't that be great? It can fit in my pocket. I mean, if frickin' bombs, like 15 bombs and a fishing pole and iron boots and a ball and chain and spinner can fit in my pocket, then why can't that? Why did I change into me? I need to change back into Mini-Me. Poe, come down here. Come down here. You can't stay up there evermore. Or nevermore. Nevermore you live. I'm not sure if I had to change back into normal length there. I probably could have just opened the door, but... Yeah, That's my new whatever, because people didn't like the whatever thing. I have to say something that is implied to be whatever. I like this room, and it is a required room. It seems kind of like it would be a side questy room to have a heart piece in it or something, but it's not. Which kind of threw me off. It seems like this game this game has near the end its dungeons have just kind of off to the side rooms that have the boss key in them. And I'll just say that now. This room has the boss key in it. It's right there, in that chest. And it's not going to do anything crazy like, oh, it has the boss chest in it, but there's not actually a boss key in it. Maybe in some Zelda game that might happen, but not in this one. But I like it because you actually use the helmets of the little Helmasaur creatures as part of the puzzle. I like when games do that, whenever they repurpose things that aren't usually for puzzles into a puzzle. And, you know, in this dungeon especially, like, it does that a lot. You have to use pots to hold down certain switches, and then you break the pot as part of the puzzle. I think that's really cool. What is in that chest? I don't really know what's in that one. I'm gonna assume that it is rupees, again. Yep, freaking red rupees. Ruby rupees. Okay, do I have to hold this down, or can I just stand on it for a little bit and then... Looks like I can just stand on it for one moment, and nope, I can't. Normally there's a cutscene there that tells me otherwise, but nope, you lied to me, game. You lied to me. You should be the subject of the Liar Liar sequel, I guess. Because hey, what you were gonna do about it? Nothing. I'm just gonna. I could be a little bit more accurate with the quote there, but I don't want to be not swearing, but sort of swearing. Well, I guess piss isn't really a swear word to most people. Because what he says in the movie is, I'm gonna piss and moan like an impotent jerk and then take it up the tailpipe. If that's the line. I'm not sure if that's the exact line, but it's close. But I don't really like the word piss very much. Like, I guess it's got this strong tone to it, but this is kind of weird. It's like, it's pee, but it's not pee. But it is pee. In fact, that's exactly what it is, it's just pee. But pee is funnier, and I think urine is even funnier. Because it's like, hey, you're an idiot. But you're not an idiot. You're watching this video. I think that makes you cool. I don't know what I'm saying, I never do.